What was your WTF paranormal experience? When my son was 3, he told my wife and I we had a ghost in the house we just bought. When we asked more about it, my son went on to describe a little old man named George. He assured us George was nice. The next day the elderly neighbor came over and saw some renovating we had done and said George would love what you've done to the house. He lived here for 50 years until his death. My wife and I got the chills. We've lived here happily with George for over 20 years now. Damn, that must have been a hell of feeling when your neighbor mentioned George. My wife and I suddenly looked at each other all wide-eyed when he said George. When my boyfriend died, I was at my mum's, visiting for New Year's Eve. On New Year's Day, I was having a nap in the spare room. He came in. I remember it so clearly. He woke me up and sat at the edge of my bed. I don't remember him talking, and then he cuddled up to me. In my dream I thought that was weird that he was there, but I was really tired and confused. I went back to sleep. When I woke up, he wasn't there, and I had a phone call from his brother that he had passed away. So I had a dream in a dream and a visitation from someone I didn't know who had passed. It's given me loads to think about the afterlife. It's pretty curious. I got a goodbye and I'm grateful. I miss him. Most people who hear that story think I'm crazy. I'm okay with that. My youngest brother Corey passed away a few years ago. After the funeral, a reception was held in the basement of a local church. There was a small stage area at one end with a backdrop and curtains on the side. I was talking to family and friends at the tables when my wife points out that our 3-year-old son is running around on the stage and maybe he shouldn't be in case he falls off. He's running back and forth in a way that looks like he's being chased, dodging back and forth, speeding up, abrupt turns, laughing like a loon, hiding behind the curtains, then taking off again. I go over and ask him innocently, "What you doing, little man?" and he replies, "Chasing with Uncle Corey." Fucking chills. Beautiful. I hope there's a toddler who can see me at my funeral. I was in bed and woke up to my brother in my doorway screaming. I immediately ran to him, but he ran away. When I caught him I asked why he was screaming, and he said he saw another me hovering over myself laughing and was terrified of me for a while. Now he doesn't remember, but my parents do. Fucking hell. All of a sudden I notice I'm sitting in a dark room with my door open to a very long and dark hall. Enough for this thread, lol. If you close the door it's still out there. Same with this thread. You monster. When I was like 8, I went to a mountain school trip. We were 6 by bedroom. One night, I couldn't sleep, so I kept my eyes open in the dark, and suddenly, I saw a white figure skiing right next to my bed. I was surprised to see it as the silhouette was not blurry at all. I then felt something knocking under my mattress. It was one of the girl I was with in the room. She had the bed right under me. She asked me if I was sleeping. After I told her no, she asked me if I saw the dude skiing too. I told her I did, and we did not sleep well for the rest of the trip. My husband and I stayed in an old hotel on Christmas Eve once, with a busted radiator for heat that wouldn't turn off. We had to crack the window before going to sleep. In the night, I had a nightmare that a creepy old woman, a nurse maybe, climbed in through the window and leaned over the bed to strangle me. I woke in a panic, and shook my husband awake. "Honey, I had a bad dream." He woke up and goes, "Oh man, I just had the craziest dream that this lady was standing over the bed trying to strangle you." We came to find out later that that particular hotel is reputed to be quite haunted. I've read about this type of experience a lot, especially between siblings who encounter the same entity in their separate dreams. It's pretty fascinating how commonly reported it is. I've shared this before and people got so mad, but still the freakiest thing I think I've ever seen. I work in a prison and one night a prisoner buzzes me up in master control, just sobbing. He said someone was standing outside his cell door. It wasn't time for head count and all the doors were showing secure, so we sent staff down to search. Nobody was out. I was watching it all on the cameras and operating the doors. The whole time the prisoner wouldn't stop buzzing up, begging us to help him. They reassured him, and it was weird as we usually know the crazy ones. Like a lot have legit psychosis and hallucinations, but not this guy. He was sobbing. Then when the staff left and I got a green state on the unit, every alarm went into hyperdrive. Motion detectors, the fence alarm, everything in and near that one unit. So back in they go. Did a full head count, and the prisoner was so frightened he had to be taken for constant obs in the safety unit because of the man running around and staring into his cell. Did he say anything more about the experience? I'm assuming the ghost looked super scary or something. All he said is they were trying to get in and they were really pale. Didn't get much more out of him, but he wouldn't go back into that cell either. One morning my wife told me about a creepy floating head she saw at night while laying in bed. However, she never actually described what he looked like. So when I had the same experience 2 weeks later, I was excited to share it with her. We went back and forth describing the ghost, sharing as much detail as we could. Finally, wife shared that her ghost had a beard and relieved I said that mine had no facial hair at all. However, her face went pale as she confessed to testing my story. Her floating head, in fact, had no facial hair either. Our descriptions matched 100%. TLDR, my wife and I never really believed in ghosts until we both saw the same one. I absolutely hate that this is a phenomenon that multiple people have experienced. All the bad vibes, all of them. One time when I was like 5 we had like a fan on wheels and I so vividly remember it following me around the house often. Like, rolling after me. It got to the point I had night terrors. I still don't know if I was just imagining it or not, but yeah. No harm intended. It was just your biggest fan. One day I went to sleep at around 2 AM and as soon as I lay down the floor started creaking like someone was walking around. I quickly got up to turn on the lights, but as soon as I stood up it stopped. After a minute of me just thinking WTF, I turned off the lights and lay down in my bed again. But as soon as I did that it started again. This went on in a loop of me turning on and off the lights and the creaking starting and stopping accordingly for about 15 minutes. I even checked if it was because I was laying in my bed by using my phone as light while laying in it, and still as soon as the room got lit up it stopped. Still have no idea what was causing the creaking. Not the first time I have experienced some paranormal stuff in this house. And that's when you start sleeping with a lamp. Trust me. This is a short one. Back when I was in college, me and 4 of my friends were driving to the mall when we suddenly noticed a big black square in the sky. I asked if anyone else saw it and they all said yes. We still don't know what it was. It looked like a part of the sky didn't load in or something lol. I still think about it on a regular basis. Literally the strangest and most unexplainable thing I've ever seen, and I know I'm not crazy because other people saw it too. F3 plus a reloads the chunks. I was trying to get some sleep but woke up to the sound of kids playing outside my window. Moments later I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. My room was the only way up to the attic. Then randomly I heard a girl scream inches from my face. Haha, New Hope. My grandmother died in October 1995 when I was 15. Flash forward 4 months to my birthday. I come home from school and check the answering machine. I hear my aunt singing happy birthday, so I call her back and say thank you. She says for what? I tell her the message. She didn't call me. The only other person it could have been was my grandmother. Nobody except her and my aunt had a similar voice, and it couldn't be anyone outside the family because she called me by my family nickname that nobody else has ever called me except for the 8 people in my closest family. I went to listen back and the message didn't save. She also came back and visited my baby cousin who was talking to the corner of the ceiling, and his mom asked who he was talking to and he said G mom. And 2 months later when my grandfather was on hospice we woke up to him screaming no, not yet. It's not fair. It's finally my turn. Very complicated story, but my grandfather was not a good husband or father and was estranged for a few years in the 70s. But my grandmother made my mom and aunts talk to him again. After my grandmother died he was the sole focus of their attention, and it wasn't just because she made them talk to him. I think she came to get him but let him stay a little longer. A year to the day after my late wife's passing, my sister-in-law and I were just sitting quietly in my living room. No music, no TV on, just chatting. At precisely 10:50 PM, the exact time that she passed, a heavenly, lilting music rose in the room. There was no source that we could pinpoint. It was everywhere. And then a brilliant point of light rose from beside her favorite seat, a recliner. As the light faded, so did the music. The event lasted for maybe 20 seconds. This was real, not staged in any way, and witnessed by two sober people that each experienced it in the exact same way. Wow, that's beautiful. I'm trying to imagine it, and it must have been breathtaking. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Reddit videos.